Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. So today I'm going to teach you guys what is computer because, well, everybody's here already know computer, but today I'm going to talk about the details of a computer. And yeah, it's also related to TKJ or network engineer. That's why I'm talking about computer. Because that. Okay, let's start by CPU and GPU. Many people got this wrong. What is CPU and GPU? Because it sounds the same. CPU, GPU. So CPU is a processor, and it stands for Central Processing Unit. It's a processor. It's the brain on the computer. And what about GPU? GPU is graphics processing unit, or VGA as Indonesian always called it. But actually outside Indonesia, or maybe in the US, outside Indonesia, they call it GPU, not VGA. Then why Indonesian call it VGA instead of GPU? Well, it's because of in the old days, in the 2005 maybe, there are ports called VGA. Everybody knows here VGA. And that port is very popular. That's why Indonesian called it VGA instead of GPU. Yeah. So if you search online for to get a new GPU, is VGA second bekas or something like that. And yeah, this is what it looks like. Computer. It's big of chunk of brick. It's very big. And yeah, it's not a gaming computer. So this is the inside of a computer. So I'm going to tell you one by one inside of the computer. So this is called heatsink. Yeah, it's heatsink, just like its name, heatsink. It's removing heat from the processor. And yeah, as you can see here, there is a fan to blow hot air outside. And this, as you can see here, this is RAM. It's called RAM, or it's a RAM. I don't know. And then here, as you can see, these big things, it's called VGA or GPU. So this control the 3D things. So if you want to play games, or maybe hike games, or maybe you want to do some multimedia things, well, you need high-end GPU. It's not cheap, it's expensive, of course. And also, under this heatsink, there are a processor, the CPU. So it's like the brain of the computer. It controls everything on your computer. So without it, well, you cannot use it. It's not going to work. And then the board here, the brown things, the big board is the motherboard, just like its name, motherboard. The mother of the board. Without it, well, you cannot put everything, because it's the mother of the board. And then hard drive, you already know this. Hard drive, it stores data and everything. And power supply, under this, power supply, it gives you all the power, the electric, and everything. Yeah, that's for the inside. Continue to our next slide. So yeah, as I told you before, under of this big heatsink, there are processor, the brain of the computer. This is a RAM, and everything. Okay, now let's talk about processor generation. Actually, there are many processors out in this world. There are two popular brands, Intel and AMD. So to know the generation of your processor is actually pretty easy. Like this Intel Core i7, and as you can see here, 10, which means it's your generation of your processor. So it's easy to know what generation of your processor is. like more, or maybe Intel Core i7 1165. So it means that is your 11th generation of processor. Your processor is 11 gen. And same thing happens on Ryzen, like Ryzen 5 2400G, which means your processor is 2000 series, or maybe like Ryzen 3 3300, which means you are on 300, your 3000 series. You're on 3000 series. Yeah, actually, it's pretty easy to know what is your generation of your processor. Yeah, like this. And yeah, this is the socket of processor. So this is how it looks like before you put processor in it. It's called socket. Yeah, that's how it looks like. Okay, we've talked about processor before. Let's talk about RAM. There are 5 generations of RAM. Actually, there are older. In the 90s, there are older generation, but let's talk about 5 generation here. There are DDR5, DDR2, DDR3, 4, even 5, the newer one. It was out last year. So yeah, DDR5 is the newer one. This is how it looks like of the RAM under inside of your laptop. It's small for a laptop, but it's for a computer. It's a long stick. But it's different thing happens inside a laptop. This is the models. Yeah, it's too long to tell you. Okay, now let's talk about laptop. How do they put everything inside of a laptop? This very thin laptop. I mean, computer is very big, right? It's very thick and big. So how do they put everything inside of it? Inside of this thin, cool laptop. How do they do it? Well, thanks to our engineers, they did everything to put inside of this board. The RAM, the processor, the GPU, the heatsink, even the battery. So engineers done pretty big things to put everything on a laptop. Well, of course, there are many limitations happens in laptop because you need to make a laptop a safe battery, but also makes a lot of power. So engineers design everything to make that happen. Like they put an RTX GPU on a laptop with a smaller version. And processor, of course, it's also big on a computer. So engineers make a small version for a laptop. That also happens to RAM. But yes, of course, it's small because again, there are limitations on a laptop. They have to make it small. They have to sacrifice some power. They have to, so it's not as fast as the computer as. Yeah, so they sacrifice something to make this happen. Like this is the GPU inside of a laptop. So NVIDIA call it new Max-Q design. So it was an RTX GPU inside of a laptop, so they call it a new Max-Q, which means it's not slow, but it's not as fast as the computer is, but it's still an RTX. There are many new technology inside of this chip. But again, it's not cheap, it's expensive because it's not easy to build this one. Okay, so actually I don't really recommend you buying a gaming laptop because, well, gaming laptop wastes a lot of battery because it needs many power. And when your own battery, when you're using a gaming laptop, you're using an on battery, it's not going fast, it's going slow because, well, it needs to save battery. So it's not going to do hard work because that thing needs to save some battery. And of course, it's thick. It's very thick. It's not small. It's big. And yeah, because it's gaming laptop, it needs a lot of room. So if you want to do some gaming on computer, well, just get a gaming computer. Don't get a gaming laptop. That's just my opinion, because it's not worth it. It's big and it is portable, but it's so big, it weighs a lot of battery and it needs a lot of power. Yeah, you know what happened. Okay, I think that's all from me. Thank you so much for your attention. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.